And let's do that right now. I want to tell you a little bit about the men you'll see before you. First, on your left, Chef Sebastien Leyen is French and is a classically trained French chef, has served in resorts in Tahiti and in France, and is currently the executive chef at the Omni in Fort Worth. You may have eaten his food. If you haven't, you should. It's fantastic at the Omni. And on your right, Chef Peter Mollett. And we talk about where people have gone to culinary school. Rhode Island, Paris, New Orleans, here in Texas, Chicago, New York, Rhode Island. Well, Peter didn't go to culinary school. He did a little bit different. He is an organic chemist by trade and by education. Actually, maybe the best kind of chef when you think about it. Making homemade happen. That is what Smokin' Texas Gourmet and Red Kitchen Foods are all about. The chef and the chemist, or the chemist and the chef, are going to entertain you and feed you in ways you never thought possible. You might want to take notes on this. It's that good. Would you please welcome Chef Sebastien Leyen and Chef Peter Mollett.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for coming. Chef Sebastien, he is the Frenchman, okay? And I am the chemist. So I think that what we want to do, we want to start this out with a drink. You know the French love to drink. Although it's usually wine, as long as it's wet, they drink. So we've got a brand new product, Red Kitchen Foods Smokin' Texas Gourmet, called Votu. It's a hibiscus beverage mixer. It won second place here at the show last night. So we're real proud of this. It's only 35 calories, so it's kind of guiltless type of product. So chef, I got a little bit here with a little vodka. Ooh. If this was a competition, I would say cheers.
Cheers.
Mazel tov.
ZestFest.
To ZestFest. So
I'm
today
always
we're
up
going to
for
be.
a drink.
Wow, that's good. Today we're going to be doing a couple different things. I'm going to prepare a smoked brisket and bean chili. A little bit different than your standard chili with ground beef. And chef?
Well, you know, next week, you know what's happening next week, right? Next Sunday? I can't hear you. All right. So you guys probably going to cook some easy food for the Super Bowl. So his chili is going to be great for the Super Bowl. So I thought, Super Bowl, food, drinking, what's happening the next day? Hangover. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a breakfast who's going to help you on your hangover. So how we can use the chili from Peter, or you can do the way I'm going to do it. But we're going to do something spicy, who's going to make you sweat, and get all the alcohol out of your body. All right?
Sounds great. Sounds great. Let me just start by saying the key to good chili is good ingredients. So you need good smoked brisket. I'm going to show you some here in a moment that we did with our dry rub and garlic, salt, and pepper. But key to begin with is a little bit of olive oil. You got to have a little bit of oil in that chili. So we're going to put a little olive oil in there, and then we're going to chop up some garlic cloves. Okay? We're going to heat those up for a little bit. So chef, why chop this up a little bit? Why don't you tell them what you're going to do and how?
So what we're going to do, we're going to do a breakfast Wellington. Does anybody knows what's a Wellington? Beef Wellington, right? You guys know that? Well, we're going to do something similar. We're going to do something with eggs. We're going to use chili beef. We're going to use some chorizo. We're going to use some potatoes, some eggs, some cheese. And we're all going to wrap that with puff pastry. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cook the potatoes. We're going to use Yukon potatoes. I like to keep my Yukon potatoes with the peel. So we're going to dice it up. Dice it up, and then we're going to saute that in olive oil. And like Peter said, always use great quality. I use extra virgin olive oil. Okay, so we're going to dice it up, the potatoes. And please, guys, don't try to do that early in the morning. especially the next day after the Super Bowl. If you have too many drinks, we don't want you to cut your finger. All right, so here's the potatoes. All right, we're gonna make sure the oil is nice and hot. And we're gonna add those potatoes, make it nice and crispy. There you go. There you go. Can you hear the sizzling of the potatoes? All right, so we're gonna saute those potatoes.
So Chef, I'm from Germany, and we eat nothing but potatoes. So anything with potatoes in it is fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you got a French chef and a German cooking at the ZestFest. What's up with that? All right, so we're gonna put some salt, pepper. In the hotel we use Peter product, and we're gonna explain a little by little the product we use. But this is one of them. It's a mix of garlic, salt, and pepper. I like to be consistent in my kitchen, so I know that when my cooks use the salt and pepper, it's always gonna be the same mix. Okay, so we're gonna season those potatoes and we're gonna let it cook until they're nice and crispy. All right, on the other side, we're gonna start the mix for the eggs too. So I said we're gonna use beef. We're gonna saute the beef with a little bit of chili. Again, we're using, is that the chili?
Yes, the
There
chili.
you go. Peter
Seasoning.
chili. And I think he's gonna use the same thing on his recipe. And we're gonna use some chorizo. Does anybody knows what chorizo is? Spanish sausage. You can buy the sausage or you can buy bulk like we do. For breakfast, it's better to do it with the bulk, but sausage is good too. All right, we're gonna use peppers. Red, green, yellow. And in this recipe, we're gonna use jalapeno. We need some heat, not just the chili powder. And then we're gonna finish with spinach. And then on top of that, when we're done, we're gonna finish with cheese. I'm gonna use cheddar cheese and pepper jack cheese. So we're gonna dice a little bit of peppers.
While he's dicing that, I'm gonna throw this garlic in here. I've got olive oil heating up. We're gonna put a little garlic in there and let it sizzle a little bit. You don't want to burn the garlic. You gotta be very careful with garlic. So we're just gonna heat it in olive oil while I chop this brisket up. And by the way, this is the brisket. How do you know you have got a good brisket? Who can tell me? Yeah, and the bark. You gotta have good bark. So you can see here, it's still even a little red, but it's well cooked. So I'm gonna chop some of it up and put it in with the garlic. And then we're gonna mix that up a little bit. And I use about 3 pounds of brisket in this recipe. The recipe can be found online at smokeandtexasgourmet.com. So you can see the garlic here, it's starting to sizzle. I don't know, can you see that? Are they showing that? Good. So we're just gonna let it sizzle a little bit more. And I'll cut up a little bit more brisket. How's your dicing coming, Chef?
Coming along. So the easy thing with this recipe too is you can basically use leftover. Leftover you have in the refrigerator. You get up in the morning, you want to do some breakfast, and you got tomatoes, you got mushroom, you can use that. You got leftover brisket, it would be great. You can even do with shrimp. You can do a seafood. All right, so I got my peppers done. We're gonna saute that in olive oil as well.
Olive oil is good in anything. I don't use any other kind of oil than extra virgin olive oil. Unless, of course, I'm frying something like chicken or fish. So you can see how I've diced this up. You want to leave it kind of chunky because it's going to tear apart as it cooks. This chili is actually going to cook for about 3 hours. We're going to put some in there with the garlic. Nice chunks. And if you get a little fat in there, don't worry about it. First of all, it's rendered pretty much when you smoke the brisket, and then it's going to even render more as you're cooking it.
Now, how did you do your brisket, Peter?
We, whenever I do brisket, I rub it really well with the dry rub and the garlic, salt, and pepper. This is the dry rub here. And Chef, you got the garlic, salt, and pepper over there. But then what I do is I will wrap it in saran wrap and put it in the fridge overnight. And that's key. You want the flavor of the seasoning to really penetrate. Then we smoke it for about 12 to 14 hours. Very low heat. A lot of people like doing their brisket at 250, 275. I don't. I do mine at 185. And I just cook it longer. Here's the key. People say, well, how are you going to kill the bacteria? Who can answer that question? What kills the bacteria? The smoke does. So you don't ever have to worry about getting bacteria or having bad meat because it's undercooked, particularly beef. Chef, I actually gave a talk on the chemistry of sauces at Texas A&M about 1.5 years ago to the Aggie Science Department down there. And it was a barbecue class, and we learned so much about meat and brisket and safety. So that was one of the key things that I learned. I really don't have to worry about undercooking it when I'm smoking it. And I like oak, so you're going to taste a little oak flavor in this.
All right, we got those peppers. We're going to saute them. And when they're going to be halfway, we're going to add the beef, the ground beef, and then we're going to add the chorizo. Well, the spice first, and then the chorizo. All right, potatoes are pretty much done. You see they're nice and brown. Cook on the inside, hopefully. Yep.
Wow, that really looks good.
All right. Now I'm gonna do the Wellington with puff pastry, but a lot of people can do that with phyllo. You can find puff pastry any store in the freezer. The good thing is you can buy a pack, keep it in your freezer, take one at a time. And phyllo, it's a little bit more flaky. And then, if you want to do a small one, then you can do burritos. You can just buy a flour tortillas and do the same thing with your tortillas.
And actually, Chef, one of the things we do with the chili will be how do we use it after we're done with it. So I'm going to show them how to do some enchiladas with it.
And you can use on the same recipe as well. So you do chili for Sunday, football game, and then if you got some leftover, keep for the next day, use for the next day for breakfast. And make sure you make it spicy.
If you're going to make homemade happen, you need to make it happen not just at one meal. It's got to carry over. Okay? So that's why we have Chef Sebastian showing you, here's what you can do with chili and other things at breakfast time. So I think it's very, very important. You can see now that we have the brisket in here, we have the garlic in here, Very easy recipe. Your typical chili will have a lot of onions, may have peppers. We don't want to do that. Not with this. We want the star of this show to be the brisket. Now we're going to make this a protein bomb also, because we're going to add beans to it. So Chef, are you ready to do something, or?
You could go ahead.
Okay. You heard Chef Mollett talk about using canned tomatoes in the last segment. I'm right with them. If you use a good canned tomato that's very fresh, you can't go wrong, and you'll get consistency. These are Centos. I happen to like these, Italian, and they're whole. We're going to pour these in here, but I'm a hands-on person. I like to get dirty when I cook. So I'm going to take, you can see this is a whole tomato, and I'm going to put it in my hand and crush it while I'm pouring. I don't know if they're showing that, but I'm crushing it right in the can.
Did you wash your hand?
Absolutely.
I hope so.
And this has so much acid in it, it won't make any difference.
We got some gloves. I guess it's too late now.
Okay? So I'm going to put the rest of the tomatoes in there, then I'm going to open up the beans.
On my side, I'm going to add the beef to the peppers, if I can. If he wants to come out, there you go.
You know, the chef made a very good point about hands.
I'm always do.
Usually. What's really important is when you're handling beef, chicken, any kind of protein like that, and then you handle vegetables. Notice I cut my beef on this cutting board, but I turned the cutting board over. I used gloves when I cut the beef. So I took the gloves off. So my hands are still clean. I can now do vegetables with it. Same thing at home.
You want to avoid cross-contamination, especially with chicken. If you handle raw chicken, you definitely need to change and wear gloves.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got the beef. I'm going to put a little bit of chili. It's for a hangover, so we're going to put a little more. All right. Get the beef nicely cooked. Make sure it's separated. We don't want a big chunk of beef. And I'm gonna use a little bit of salt pepper right here. All right, now we're gonna add the chorizo. We're gonna do the same thing. There you go.
Boy, I wish you could smell that up here. It smells delicious.
We're gonna mix everything together. And we're almost done with the first stage. And you can almost, this Wellington should be done the day before. It's probably better. Like this, you get up in the morning, you just pop in the oven. But at least you need to get that mix done early because you need to cool it down. So we're gonna need to cool it down before we put it in the dough. All right, so it looks pretty good.
Looks great. Okay, I've taken this chili up to a boil now. I haven't added seasoning yet. I don't want to add the seasoning until I get all my liquid in there because you want your seasoning to incorporate with everything. Also, the liquid will help it to disperse out rather than get in clumps. Now, something I want to explain. When you make chili, a lot of times it gets real runny. It's because people use the entire contents of all their tomatoes, or in this case, beans, with all the liquid. What I like to do is take the beans and drain them with the lid, take some of that juice out of there, and then put the beans in. This is going to be a 3-bean chili. Black beans, dark kidney beans, and white beans. I happen to like white beans a lot. Very flavorful. So I'm going to continue draining it and putting the beans in there. If it becomes not liquid enough for you, you can reserve this bean stock and put it in later. Okay? Remember, you're going to let this cook for about 3 hours.
All right, so I add my potatoes to the mix. So you basically almost like a potato hash. Then I'm gonna whip my eggs. We use cage-free eggs at the hotel. We're gonna whip those and add those to the mixed. There you go, we got 4. But we're gonna do 6.
Chef, your recipe that you've got, how many servings will that make?
Depend.
A big pan.
It depends how hangover you are. Depends how big you are.
He cooks for the masses. I cook for the family. This will make about 8 servings, 8 to 10, depending on the size bowl that you use. So now I've got all my beans in there. I'm just going to mix this up. And you can see that there's quite a bit of liquid in there. Some of this liquid will evaporate. So, I'm going to get some garlic, salt, and pepper.
Hey, that's mine.
Well, you have to share. And we're going to use about a tablespoon in here. But remember, we already put garlic in there. By the way, the garlic, salt, and pepper won first place at the International Food Show in Albuquerque for 2014. Something so simple. Took me about 6 months to develop it, to get the consistency and the grind. We're also going to add about a 1/4 cup of the chili seasoning. Again, making homemade happen means to me that you can take any of the seasonings, dump it in your food, you're done. You don't have to have a 1/4 teaspoon of that, 1/2 teaspoon of this, etc. It's very hard to follow recipes like that. So we're going to put about a 1/4 cup in here. I can put a 1/4 cup because it's not very hot. It's all about the flavor. It looks about a 1/4 cup, Chef.
That's a German cup.
Yeah, it's the German cup.
All right, I'm gonna get my eggs on my side. There you go. And we're just gonna cook that all together. I think that phase, even my wife can do it. That's easy. Just scramble the eggs. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit more salt, pepper.
By the way, you can use a little bit more of this garlic, salt, and pepper like Chef Sebastian's doing, because the sodium level of it is really low compared to regular salt. Regular salt's about 23 to 2,800 milligrams, depending on the salt it is, of sodium. This is about 550 milligrams. So you can use a little bit more. So can everyone see this? This is really done, okay? Now we're gonna let it cook and finish off. And what I'm gonna do at the end, okay, they say everything's better with butter. They're right. So we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of butter and put it in there and let it cook with the chili.
I'm just gonna try mine, and then we're gonna let it cool down.
Where'd you find that spoon?
Right here. He's right. You gotta put more salt. That's probably how you gotta reach.
They use a lot of that.
All right. So what I'm gonna do now is, I mean, you could eat straight like this. It's really good. It's done. But I'm gonna cool it down and then wrap it. So I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. Before I do that, I'm gonna add the spinach. I'm just gonna add the spinach raw. They're gonna cook with the eggs and they're gonna stay nice and green. So no need to saute the spinach before. Now, this is baby spinach. It's easy because you don't have to clean them. And that's why I use baby spinach, because I'm too lazy to clean it. All right, there you go. Now, we're gonna let it cool down.
See the chili boiling? When it gets to the boil, you want to turn the heat down and you want to cover it and just let it cook slowly. If you have a gas burner and you've got a plate that will go over that burner so that you can put the pan on that plate so you don't have hot spots, that would be just perfect. So we're going to kind of move that to the side here. Let that cook a little bit. Actually, I'll move it there.
All right, while my mix is getting cold, this is the puff pastry I was talking about. Puff pastry, it's easy. Just put it out probably 10-15 minutes before from the freezer. That's it. That's all you need it. I'm gonna take it off a little bit, the paper, make sure it doesn't stick to it. And we're gonna wait. On the meantime we do that, we're gonna talk about the product that we do with Peter. When I first met Peter 2 years ago, it was almost 3 years actually. We met at a food show. Peter was doing he was doing the sauce, and then we start working together at the restaurant. This is our restaurant, Cast Iron, at the Omni Fort Worth. All the sauce come from Peter. We get our label, but on top of that, we developed some recipe with Peter. Like we first started with the ketchup. We wanted to have our own ketchup, which we did. So we worked with Peter, we worked on different recipe. He came up with that one. And then we wanted to have our own mustard. So we came up with the jalapeno honey mustard. This is the first project that we worked together. After that, I told Peter, I said, hey, it would be great if you do some salsa. I was like, salsa, really? It's like, okay. And he started working on salsa. I think the first 3 was sweet onion peach, tomatillo, and what was the other one?
Peach.
Peach.
Because you were doing a French week or something like that, or a French month.
That's right. After that, I say, yeah, but that's great, but I need a tomato something salsa. So he did that tres chile salsa. I don't know if you have the chance to try at the stand, but it's great. And we're going to use that for the breakfast, actually. This is a great salsa for chips and salsa, but any breakfast item, anything, even the chili, great recipe. It's got a little heat. It's fresh. It tastes really fresh. After that, we came up with a different recipe for barbecue. You got 3 different barbecue sauce.
Yep.
I think I have today.
Yeah, they're actually, here's the jalapeno honey mustard and the barbecue sauce gold and the regular barbecue sauce and the sweet heat. So actually, Chef Eddie from Omni they wanted to replace a product that had high fructose corn syrup in it. I don't use high fructose corn syrup. So we worked real hard, and what we actually did, I put together about 15 recipes for Chef Eddie and Chef Sebastian, a combination of these two products. And out of that, they picked a recipe, and we tweaked it, and we came up with the Texas Gold, which is a mustard barbecue sauce. Very, very good. So,
How would you say what you would use those barbecue sauce with?
well, the regular barbecue sauce is kind of like a cross between North Carolina and Texas. Sweet, tangy. Great dipping sauce. My #1 seller for kids. The sweet heat is actually something that Sebastian wanted. He wanted a pretty typical brisket rib sauce and actually last year he demonstrated doing brisket sliders with this. Excellent for that. Great on that type of product. The mustard sauce, outstanding for pork chops, pork tenderloins, pork shoulders. Very, very good on those.
All right, so this is the 3 barbecue. After that, I sent Peter to the corporate office at the Omni, and then they came up with a recipe. This is a great product. You've probably seen his stand. It's a umami sauce, and you can use that sauce for anything. You can use it for breakfast. You can use for ribs. You can use for beef. You can use for shrimp. You can use for anything.
Hey, Chef, we got a few minutes here. Let's have a little interaction here. Who knows what umami means? Oh, there we go. We got a couple people. What's it mean? No worries, right. Actually, the term umami came from the Japanese, and it means taste very good. You've got 4 tastes in your mouth. Everyone knows about them, right? Sweet, sour, bitter, savory. Well, guess what? You have a 5th one. The food scientists found that in the 1950s, and that taste is umami. So when you taste something and say, wow, this is really good, what is it? Is it barbecue sauce? Is it hot sauce? What is it? You're tasting umami. Umami is the center of those 4 quadrants. So unfortunately, I can't sell this to other companies. I've got an exclusive with Omni. It sits on all their restaurant tables in the States.
So you need to go to Omni.
Yeah, so
It's
you
on
need to go
every
to
table.
Omni or my store. You can get it in my store or at the booth.
Chef Peter, speaking of that, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I had a question from out here about the garlic, salt, and pepper shaker that you're using to season things. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That's piqued a couple of interests out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a very simple product, and in a way it is. But a lot of people have gone home, they love garlic, they love salt, and they love pepper, and they try to make their own mixture up. There's some keys to doing that. It took me about 6 months to get the right balance. Let me find it, wherever
Right
it is. To get the right balance. But one of the keys to this is the pepper, okay? Most table pepper has been sitting on a boat for years. Actually, not years, but a long time. So I use peppercorns and grind them with kosher salt and dehydrated garlic at a special ratio to get that balance. It took a long time to taste testing and stuff to get that balance. So it's simple, but yet kind of unique. And we sell so much of it. People use it in their homes. They don't turn back to anything.
Chef, can we pick that up here today, or is it an online thing?
Yeah, they can pick it up in this size or packets or even food service size. Let me mention one other thing about umami. I'll give you a little chemistry here. There's what the food scientists found when they found umami. They found that glutamates, which is a natural chemical, gave them that taste of umami. Scientists then said, we got something here. And they developed what? MSG, monosodium glutamate. Not real good for you. Synthetic, can give you headaches, stuff like that. So when we developed the umami sauce, I did a lot of research on natural glutamates. For instance, mushrooms, roasted tomatoes, anchovies, kelp, all has glutamates in it, natural glutamates. So when you taste those great mushrooms on your steak and stuff that you buy, you're tasting glutamate. So, little lesson there. So, we got chili. What do we do with it? We can make a Super Bowl chili, okay? We can take a little bit, put it in a bowl. I'm just going to do a small one here because we're going to sample this later.
Is that for me?
Yeah, this is for you.
Oh.
And I don't know about you guys, but I like a little onion on my chili. I like a little cheese on my chili, particularly if it's hot, like that.
Ooh, that smells good.
And top it off with cilantro. Okay? So now we've got a little bit of chili.
All right, I'm gonna finish mine.
Okay.
We're almost done. So we're gonna take that mix back. Basically what we're gonna do now, we're gonna put it inside the puff pastry.
Huh? No, I don't think. Okay.
We're gonna put it all over. We'll leave an empty space on both sides. And we're gonna put a little bit of cheddar cheese. Not that it's fat enough. We need more fat. And some pepper jack.
Wow.
All right, and then we're gonna roll it.
Notice he left a paper on there when he rolled it. Very key. It'll
can
help
do
you
that,
roll it.
or you can just use flour.
Just don't put it in the oven.
All right, then you put on a pan, and then what you're gonna do, you're gonna take an egg, put a little bit of water, and then brush on top, okay, to have a nice crisp on top. And then you put it in the oven for 20 minutes. Ta-da! There you go.
Look at that.
So you got a nice breakfast for the family as soon as they get up. All right, we're gonna cut a little slice.
We're going to sample this back here too, along with the chili. Looks beautiful, Chef.
All right, there you go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use Peter sauce. We're gonna put a little bit on the bottom.
That's the Trace chilies. It's got 3 chilies in it. Very fresh tasting.
We're gonna put that on top. A little bit of microgreen. That's just for us. You don't have to do that at home. And there we go. We got a
Oh,
nice
looks wonderful.
breakfast.
So, let me ask you another question. What's the most common way to eat chili in Texas? Frito pie. So we're going to dump a little bit in here. We're going to put a little chili in here. And those Fritos will get soft and sop up all that juice, right? Again, tiny little bit of onion, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of cilantro, and now you've got Frito pie. Great for Super Bowl. But wait, we got one more thing. If you buy now, I'll show you how to make an enchilada real quick with chili. We're going to take one of these flour tortillas. You use corn. We're going to throw it in a pan, roll it around, make it a little bit of hot there. Gonna get a platter. Don't try this at home. Use tongs if you have them. We're gonna flip it a little bit, heat it up. Gonna put it on this platter. And we're gonna do what Chef Sebastian did. We're gonna add a little bit of chili. If you use a slotted spoon, you won't get too much juice. Okay? It's gonna look like that.
Eddie.
We're gonna roll it up. We'll do one more quick one. We'll see who wants one of these. Like that. That's really hot now. Gonna do the same thing. So we've now made really 3 dishes with this. Use a little bit of this on there. Gonna roll it like that. People are sloppy. We're gonna put a little bit on the side. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna put actually a little bit of cream cheese. Or not cream cheese, I'm sorry. Sour cream right on top. I guess you could use cream cheese. Creme fraiche, like that. We're going to top it with a tiny bit of cheese.
Ooh, that looks good.
Onions, a little bit of cilantro, and you've got to have some trace chilies. Let me borrow this, Chef.
Right here.
We're going to take a little trace chilies, drizzle it over that, give it a little bit more heat, and voila, we now have another meal. But wait, no, I'm just kidding. It's not more. So we've made 3 dishes here out of the chili, plus what Chef Sebastian has made. Have any questions?
Anybody got anything? Hang on a second, ma'am. I'll come right over
Perfect.
there to you.
What we're going to do, I'm going to take the chili down there for people. Then we'll answer any questions.
Yes, ma'am. Question here, Chef.
What's in your Tres chilies? The Tres chilies?
Tres chilies. What's the recipe of your tres chilies?
Tres chilies sauce?
Well, if I gave you the recipe, I'd have to kill you. But it's got 3 chilies in it: serrano, jalapeno, and excuse me.
You need some?
Yeah. So, what really makes this unique was when the chef asked me to make this. I didn't do a very good job the first couple times.
Not really.
And it wasn't fresh tasting. I've got a friend in Cabo San Lucas, Chef Hector down there from Grand Solomar Resort. And I took some with me. I said, hey, Chef, I need help. He helped me out a little bit. And you know what? It was really simple. I use fresh ingredients for everything, but I didn't use fresh cilantro in here. So we put fresh cilantro, we roasted the tomatoes a tiny bit, and that's how we came up with it. I had it R&D'd, canned, and took it back to Chef Sebastian. He opened up a jar, and he said, wow, this is good. When did you make this? Yesterday? I said, no, this has been made for a month. So we let it set. So that's how we developed the Trace chilies. It won second place on all salsas at the Scovie Awards in Albuquerque. Very, very popular product. So.
Another question right here, Chef.
Chef Sebastian, at what temperature did you cook your Wellington dish?
What temperature for the Wellington?
350.
For about 20 minutes.
For about 20 minutes.
Okay, good question. Thank you. Anything else?
Here's
yes,
more.
sir. One right up here, Chef.
If you need it.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Do you know the Muffin Man?
I do, actually. It's funny. There's a company who does muffin mix, and the CEO of the company, his business card says Muffin Man.
So you
It's
do know
funny,
the
but it's
muffin.
true. Got you.
Anything else? I'm gonna come up to you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
On his mix,
I'm sorry. 20 minutes, right? On the Wellington, on the breakfast Wellington?
Yeah, 20
Chef's-
minutes in oven
For at 350.
at 350.
Got it. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What are your booth numbers? For your booth?
What was that?
Your booth numbers here at
Oh,
ZestFest.
216, 317. You'll see the big flags. It's right in the middle.
Okay. These that are up here will be back out in the.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
you
see.
can buy all this.
Excuse me, folks. Oh my goodness. All right. Yes.
When you said that the smoke kills the germs, how long do you smoke it
I
before you
usually
know the germs are gone?
Yeah, I smoke from 12 to 15 hours. Every time you open that smoker up, though, you better add 10 minutes. Okay? People like to watch their meat smoke. Not a good idea.
Yes, sir. One more question, Chef. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What kind of butter is that you put in there on that chili? That butter.
Butter.
It's high-calorie butter.
Ah. Okay. Land O'Lakes.
You know what? I'm not one of these people. I do eat healthy. I run marathons and have run marathon stuff. But I'm German. I love my butter. My mother, she bottle-fed me butter. And actually in France, they love butter. So,
Got sandwich with butter.
yeah.
I think the fried butter at the fair probably came from us.
One last question, Chef.
drinks, and if you say the hibiscus drink is 35 calories, what is the serving allowance for the 35 calories?
The serving size for the 35 calories on the hibiscus mixer.
3 ounces. It's on the label. So your typical cocktail will be 3 ounces to 1 ounce or 1.5 ounce of liquor. So my grandkids love this, just like a juice. So,
Without the vodka.
Huh? Oh,
without
the
the
vodka,
okay.
of course, yeah.
Just make sure.
Thank you so much, Chef Sebastian Leon, Peter Mollett from Smokin' Texas Gourmet and Red Kitchen Foods. Thank you so much, chefs. There will be sampling as always. Can't wait to try both of these dishes. Terrific job. Folks, sampling at the sampling station. Don't forget our friends at Irving Cares. It's a hand up, not a handout. They help folks less fortunate right here in Irving, and we thank you for your help.